Howdy, y'all. For those of you who don't recognize me, hello. My name is Zooch. I produce content for a couple different games, most notably Duelist. If you're seeing me for the first time, you probably came here from the Reddit thread for Eternal. Welcome. If you know who I am but don't know what game I'm playing, this is Eternal. It's a collectible card game that sort of combines the best of both Magic and Hearthstone. For those who might know me from Duelist but don't know me in this game, and for those who don't know me at all from Eternal, I'm currently the number one ranked drafter. I've been the number one ranked drafter for a while. I usually play a bunch of meme decks on the ranked ladder, like the constructed ladder, so I don't often do particularly well with that. Although I generally get to master each season, and by each season I mean the last season, which is like the only season I really played. So what I'm going to do today is go into a draft. Presumably, I can keep my number one status. Obviously, I'm jinxing myself right now by making that proclamation. I smell a 0-3 incoming, but I don't know. maybe we'll Maybe we'll stay with number one even with that. Who knows? All right, I'm going to jump in here and see what damage we can do. So what I'm going to do, I think, is talk about, obviously, my picks, and I might even, I don't know, try to shave some of the downtime out, although I don't know if I will. Also, for those who haven't been to my video before, I've got an incorrigible little dog who loves to bark at strangers outside. Her name is Chai. She's over here. Hey! Hey! I'm recording something. Hey! Alright, so our opening pack is pretty mediocre. Generally, by the way, I have a sort of hierarchy of what I'd like to draft if I can. Felon is my favorite archetype because I think the primal cards in particularly are really, really strong. I think there's a lot of good shadow removal as well. I also like drafting Combrei, if only because of Karmic Guardian. That card is incredible and wins games by itself. Other than that, I don't really like drafting Time all that much. And Rakana is pretty solid, but I don't generally like drafting Stone Scar. I don't generally like drafting Elysian. It feels like they dirtle a little bit too much and or have some specific game plans that don't really always come together, whereas these other decks are just a mishmash of really powerful cards in general. So looking at this pack, to me, there's not a real solid first pick card. Argenport Instigator, I think, is fine. Like, it's a 3/3 for 2, which is really good stats for power, but like, it's only slightly better than Bold Adventure. So like, the fact that this is, an all-star in constructed doesn't necessarily mean that it's great and limited. We might end up taking it, but I'm not gonna say, oh, this is a constructed powerhouse that's automatically going in our deck. Like, a 3/3 gets outclassed real easily in limited. The two cards that I'm trying to think about right now are Polymorph and Combrei Healer. So in general, if you've done any sort of limited stuff in Magic or Hearthstone, you'll know that removal is by and large really what defines a good deck. And by that I mean you really want to have good removal so that you can deal with your opponent's good threats and let your good threats trump their then mediocre threats. That having been said, Polymorph to me is a pretty mediocre removal spell. It sort of has the trappings of a great removal spell, but it's just not, because when you transform something, it still keeps all the weapons on it. So it's not really good at dealing with something that has like 2 or 3 weapons on it, which frankly isn't that uncommon in draft at all. And they even get a guy, I mean, for 1 more mana, you get to remove the character completely with like Feeding Time, which I think obviously is a great spell. Combrei Healer is a wonderful card, but I don't really like taking a 2-color card as my first pick. If I had to choose, I'm probably going to take Polymorph just because it is a removal spell. I like being in Primal. And I don't need an Argent Port Instigator. Everything else is pretty whatever. This is probably the best card in the pack, but again, I don't really want to go into a 2-color combo. Yeah, all right, I'll just stick with my first gut thought. Great. So even though I just said I didn't want to go into 2 colors just yet, Feeding Time is probably one of the better spells in the block. It deals with anything and then deals with it later in case they have any sort of recursion. If we had taken the Cumbra Healer, this would have been a fine pack for us. Finest Hour, Stalwart Shield, or Amber Monument are all fine picks. I actually really like taking these depleted transformational mana sources because it sort of doubles as early mana or a pretty solid threat later on. But we're going to take Feeding Time. It's great. Yep, we don't really have a clear signal because our person passing to us took the rare, so they could have taken anything, really. Okie dokie. This Elder's Feather is a good sign that green's open. Oh, we got some good green cards in here. But I'm going to stick with these 2 colors if I can. Yeti Spy is a pretty poor card in my opinion. I don't really like it and will not play it if I can. Both of these cards sort of, in my opinion, are about the same level. This is, I think, is obviously slightly better because A, it's cheaper, and B, it flies. The Snowball, however, I've found actually pretty significant a lot of the times, especially if you can like tempo your way past a blocker. But I'm going to take the Flying Raptor. It's uncommon. We're likely to get less of them, and Snow Slinger is a lot more common. Ooh, an interesting pick here. Well, this Safe Return would have been good in our Combo deck, but that's neither here nor there. Icebreaker is a card that rarely makes my deck, but in the right deck, it's great. And the right deck doesn't come around all that often. I'm inclined to take it because it's an uncommon. We're probably not going to see it again. And Violent Gust and Scavenging Vultures are sort of like late additions to any deck that I want to build. So I can find replacements for these. This is sort of unique. I'll take it. Assume that it's not going to make the deck, and if it does, great. Holy smokes. All right. This is an interesting pick. So, all right, what do we do? We've got 3 potential options here. Psionic Savant is an okay flyer. It costs 5, which is a lot, but they can get out of hand real quick, especially if you've got stuff to draw a bunch of cards. Slumbering Stone is a card that is a really nice roadblock for some decks. I've grown to like it a lot. It's much better in Stone Scar because you have very sacrifice outlets, but I'll play it in any deck that has Shadow, really. And then Gorgon Fanatic, which is sort of a fragile card with a huge upside. I almost see it as a removal spell because you can play it and crash it into just about any board and it'll deal with something on their side of the board, probably. I don't hate taking Gorgon Fanatic here. I probably will. It also will turn on any Haunting Screams that we might be able to draft later. It's pretty close between this and this. I probably would not take the Psionic Servant. It's just a little too slow for my liking, but I'll take this. Levitate it to draw some cards. It's not the best tempo play, but we'll see. Yes! Yes! Do we take the Haunting Scream, though? Sky Snapper is such a great flyer. I kind of want to take it just because I talked about it and maybe have some fun draft games with it. In general, though, it's pretty mediocre. I mean, you're going to be Gorgon Fanaticing if that's what you're trying to do. I'm probably going to take the Sky Snapper. If I get some more of these, I might take one of these later. But these can sit and rot in your hand if you're not careful with your drafting. That's a really late Finest Hour. Also of note, we haven't seen a whole lot of good... Well, I was going to say we haven't seen a whole lot of good Shadow cards, but we did see that one pack with Slumbering Stone, which I sort of think is a good Shadow card. I don't really foresee us wanting to play a Herald Song. I kind of want to take this Finest Hour. I have no problem drafting non-allied colors. So if we end up going, Primal Justice, that's something we can do. And We've seen some late green cards come. So I'm going to take this over the Herald Song, even though obviously this is on color. I just don't foresee us really want to play this card if the colors that we're in are open. Look at this. I take back everything I said about Fel not being open. Okay. Gorgon Swiftblade, I think, is the clear front runner here. I just want to talk about all these cards. First of all, Pilfer is not a card I would ever voluntarily play, although technically it's not bad per se. Like, you will get a card from it. It's just sort of like it could be anything. Devour is a card that's really very good in some decks and really sort of mediocre in others. It's a little too early to tell if it's good here. I mean, we're taking this regardless, so like, even if we're great, I think this two drop is just incredible. Trickster's Cloak is a card that goes fairly late for what it does, in my opinion. Like, all you need to do is hit once with something and get its infiltrate ability, and this is sort of sometimes paid for itself. That said, these often come really late, so I wouldn't be surprised seeing another one. And then Backlash is a card I don't really like playing limited, but you can, every once in a while, you'll have a deck that sort of lends itself to that. So let's take this guy. We're going to take this again. This card is not a card I'd want to play in limited. As in constructed, like with what I talked about with Argenport Instigator, just because a card's constructed viable doesn't mean it's particularly good in limited. This is a great example. A 2/2 is going to get outclassed real quick. This is a 2/3, but this has an awesome ability that can guarantee that we get damage in turn after turn and potentially pick off something later in the game. So I'm not looking to pay one less mana for a much worse card. This is nothing. This is, yeah, we get another Herald Song. Oh, a last pick Blood Beetle. Good for us. Ooh, we got some fun stuff going on here. If we didn't have those two Gorgon Swiftblades late, I would probably take this Eager Owlet because it goes with our Finest Hour. And green blue flyers is a great deck to have. This is an interesting pick. So the way I see it, there are 3 options, 4 if you want to really preempt something. The 4th is the Stone Scar banner, which I don't really foresee as an option, but I like to take off-color banners if I can to help with potential splashing in the future. So what I'm thinking about are Soaring Stranger, Unstable Form, and Stone Scar Magus. I'm not really looking at the Trickster's Cloak. Obviously, the Eager Owlet I mentioned I might be interested in if we didn't have all these good shadow cards already. Let's just hide that. Let's also hide this. So, and let's also hide this. I don't know, honestly. I have to think about this for a sec. Soaring Stranger is fine. It's a 3/3 flyer for 4. That's a good return on your investment. Unstable Form can potentially be just game-breaking, or it can be pretty mediocre. I've seen this card win games and just do nothing, so I don't know. I kind of want to take this for fun. And then Stone Scar Magus, which I think a lot of people have a higher opinion of than I do. So I'm sort of disinclined to take it. Oh, golly. Man, I really want to take this Unstable Form, but I think I'm going to take the Stranger. The way things are looking, we seem to have a pretty solid aggro deck, and I'm just going to take another aggro card. All right, this pick is pretty easy. Ice Sprite is just a removal spell on a creature. Copper Conduit's fine, but it's not a card that we really want to be splashing for. Well, we don't want to take it over Ice Sprite. Ice Sprite's great. Boy, oh boy, this is pretty mediocre. All right, so the way I see it, there are really 3 options here. There's another Blood Beetle, which isn't the worst. If we've got an aggro deck going, that could be really good, especially if we pick up some tempo cards or like the weapon that gives +2/+1 in quick draw. I don't know. We've got a Devour, which again is okay. Maybe we should have taken the Slumbering Stone over this Gorgon Fanatic, but I like drawing cards way too much. And then we've got this Scorpion Wasp, which It might be worth splashing. I don't know. It depends on if we can get some fixing or not. This is not really that great of a card to splash. It's a nice removal spell, but I don't think it's going to win the game on its own. And that's generally what I'd like to reserve my splashes for. Nothing else is really worth it. I'm going to take the Scorpion Wasp. We'll take the Blood Beetle. We'll take the Blood Beetle. I'm going to be disciplined. I normally go all over the place when I'm playing by myself sometimes, but take the Blood Beetle, see what happens. Maybe we can get some Blackguard Sidearm. I have a huge soft spot for this card. I think this card is great, especially in a deck with like Blood Beetles and I don't know, things with Infiltrate. I'm probably going to take the Sidearm, especially since we just took this Blood Beetle here. Yeah, I love this card. This card wins games. Levitate's a card I never hate to have in my deck, especially if I can pick up like a Gust that deals 5 damage to a flyer, so I'll take it. It's a little disconcerting that there are no good shadow cards here. Hi, buddy. Hi, puppy. And there are all these really solid other cards. Well, I wish I had those. I know. I wish I had those Devours now. I'll probably take this Madness. We've got a pretty solid aggro deck going, and Madness is the type of card that like can really push through a lot of damage if you plan accordingly. So it's better than that Back Alley Bouncer, obviously. Scavenging Vulture is an okay card, but I'm going to take the Madness over it and see what we get. We are likely not going to play any of these cards, but I'll take the Life Drain, Spirit Drain, because it's a removal spell, even though I don't plan on playing it. Oh my gosh. Why did I not take all those Devours? None of these cards are good. I'm going to take I don't know, this thing. Just in case we get a Smuggler's Stash or something like that. All right. Okie dokie. I'm going to clean up this a little bit. You can't really see what I'm getting rid of, but I'm just taking all the chaff out. All right. Our choice here is Haunting Scream or Xenon Destroyer. I'm not going to take the Devour. I think we'll probably be fine and find another one later. It is going to be very strong in our deck to get a Devour. But I think we can find them later. I really like Xenon Destroyer, especially if we can find ourselves another Blackguard Sidearm. And we don't really have a whole lot of targets for this Haunting Scream that are great. We're actually sort of light on minions in general, so. Oblivion Spike. Oh, this pack has some gas. I don't think I've ever played this in limited. So I don't know how good this card is. Man. I'll tell you what though. I'm not gonna go. I'm gonna draft like I would. I'm not going to do some sort of experimental pick just because I'm recording a video. So I'll just throw it out right now. I'm pretty sure Geral's Frostkin is one of the best cards at common in the whole set. It goes super late. I don't know why. I'm going to take it over the Serpent Trainer, which I think is okay, but you know, not great. That's not true. It's pretty great, but it's not better than Frostkin. And I just don't have any idea if Oblivion Spike's any good. This card is very good, though. I'm going to take this. Cloud Snake Saddle. Is that card going to be good? We've got a couple flyers. I'm sort of inclined just to take the Blackguard Sidearm. I don't want to be saddled with this card. If I don't end up having a critical mass of flyers in my deck. And it's not a whole lot better than like the +2/+2 Justice weapon, which I think is a fine pick, but not a first pick at all. Like, I think this is probably better in our deck than this. We've got Beetles, we've got Xenon Destroyer. Is Soaring Stranger better? That's the question. Like, taking another Soaring Stranger could mean that we might want more strangers just later on. Let's see. And Stormcaller is okay. Stormcaller is one of those cards that, like, it's either hit or miss for me. You're paying 4 mana for 1 damage a turn, which can be great against some decks or not that great against others. I think I'm going to take this Soaring Stranger. It's another flyer. We sort of have a glut of 3-drops and not a whole lot of 4-drops. And it's an uncommon. We'll find. Am I foolish for giving up this Cloud's Snake Saddle? We've got potentially 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm just going to take the Stranger. Not a good card. This is a good card, though. This is a fine card, but not better than Rapid Shot. It's a nice combo for 6 mana, but I think Rapid Shot's where we want to be. No, not yet. Oh man, now I regret not having all those Devourers. Man, I kind of want to just take it and start just picking every Devourer I can. Let's do that. I think both of these cards are objectively better, but I want some... I think I am going to do some memes here if I can help it. I'm tired of passing the Devourers. All right, Jotun Hurler is a better card in my opinion than Stone Star Magus, and I'm going to take it. What the fuck is happening? These cards are all great. I don't even know what to take. All right, Blackguard Sidearm is a great card. I'm going to take it. I wish I had taken that Xenon Destroyer. Now I regret that. Almost wish I could splash this Combust, but yeah. I'm going to take another Gorgon Fanatic, right? Man, I feel like I could have had some... Oh, we're going to take the Combust, maybe even splash it. Take that. No. All right, here's, I think, where I might depart a little bit from convention. I'm going to take the Ravenous Thorn Beast. We got 3 Madnesses. I just want to have some fun. I think Eastwind Herald or Rapid Shot's easily the card to pick here. We go and prune this over here. All right. But I think I want to do some unfair things here. We've got 2... Let's see. We've got 2 Blackguard Sidearms, so I really like this. Execute's a great removal spell. We do have 3 Madnesses. Oh, man. What to do. Hey. I'll take the Execute. I think it's objectively the best card. All right. This card is Lethrai Ranger is the best card in this pack. Like, bar none. I said I would take every Devour. Am I gonna just back out now? I am. I'm gonna take this Lethrai Ranger. We have very few 2-drops. We've got these 2 Blackguard Sidearms. That's a combination that wins games. Let's just do that. God, I'm such a really disappointing myself. Really letting myself down. All right, I'm gonna take the Eastwind Herald. Dread Returns, incredible. I feel like I could have made so many cool picks in this draft. I'm really letting everyone down. We're not going to play any of these cards. Wow, another Dark Return? Sure. Yeah. Whatever. Sure. Okay. All right. I normally like to just delete all these. I'll just come back when I've built the deck and say what I'm not playing and what I am playing. All right, this is where I landed. It's 45 cards. We're playing 17 lands, which might even be too many. Probably not. I just tend to play fewer lands than most, I think. But get some stuff to do with our lands. Like, this is better than a 1-mana spell. I had to make some concessions here. Unfortunately, I'm only playing one of the Madnesses. I don't have enough stuff to do with it, and I really regret taking that third mana over the Xenon Destroyer, which I think would be very strong in our deck. Other cards that we're not playing that I think are notable. Not playing this. Obviously not playing Icebreaker. We don't have enough synergy with it. I think that's it. Yeah. Anyway, I almost wanted to play, one more Madness over something, but just not sure what I would cut. I think we've got a nice mix of removal with Feeding Time, Polymorph, Execute. I wish I had a little bit more, but I, unfortunately I don't. Kind of regret not picking up some of the Haunting Screams, but they're really only great with the Gorgon Fanatics. Everything else is just sort of okay. Anyway, what I think I'm going to do is sort of cut the video here and then start up in another video with the games.